to recite some words of the Holy Quran. بعد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. ثانية على حب الزهراء. اللهم صل على محمد. ثالثة بأعلى أصواتكم. اللهم صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كافها يا عين صاد. ذكر رحمة ربك عبده زكريا إذ نادى ربه نداء خفيا قال ربي إني وهن العظم مني واشتعل الرأس شيبا ولم أكن بدعائك ربي شقيا وإني خفت الموالي من ورائي وكانت امرأتي عاقرا فهب لي من لدنك وليا يرثني ويرث من آل يعقوب واجعله ربي رضيا. يا زكريا إنا نبشرك بغلام اسمه يحيى لم نجعل له من قبل سميا قال رب أنى يكون لي غلام وكانت امرأتي عاقرا وقد بلغت من الكبر عتيا قال كذلك قال ربك هو علي هين
وقد خلقتك من قبل ولم تك شيئا قال رب اجعل لي آية قال آيتك ألا تكلم الناس 3 ليال سويا فخرج على قومه من المحراب فأوحى إليهم أن سبحوا بكرة وعشيا يا يحيى خذ الكتاب يا يحيى خذ الكتاب يا يحيى خذ الكتاب بقوة وآتيناه الحكم صبيا وحنانا من لدنا وزكاة وكان تقيا وبرا بوالديه ولم يكن جبارا عصيا وسلام عليه يوم ولد ويوم يموت ويوم يبعث حيا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
Ahsan, Brother Ali, if we can give him another loud salawat. Inshallah, I have one request from the brothers. If we can please move up to the front and center of the stage, that'll be much appreciated, inshallah. So tonight's lecture is the importance of parents in Islam. Inshallah, Sheikh Amin will dive into the importance of their rights over you, what you can and can't say over them, and so much more. So stay tuned, inshallah. So without further ado, please help me welcome Sheikh Amin Ristani after 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Why are you announcing the topic?
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أجمعين. So I don't know why he gave the topic away right away. I was going to make it a surprise. Yes, as I kind of hinted yesterday, we want to talk about something very important. See, this would have been so much nicer if you hadn't spoiled it. I was going to slowly make my way into the topic. So, brothers and sisters, the younger ones here today, we got to talk. Because, we love Imam Hussein alayhi salam, but as I said a few nights ago, it's not that hard to love Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Imam Hussein is the embodiment of all khair and good and perfection and beauty and love and all of that. What we have to be careful about is that this love that we have for him benefits us. There are some things in life that Allah has put that if we don't take them serious, we might end up being very regretful, and all the things that we've done in life might not help us. And that's what I want to talk about tonight. But before that, a little introduction. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He brought us into this world, He brought us here for a reason. He didn't take us straight to Jannah. There's a whole discussion on why that's the case. Some kids ask this question: why didn't God take me straight to Jannah? Why did I have to come here first? There's a whole discussion there. Allah had to bring us here first. We don't want to get into that right now. So when He brings us here, this is a world of clash. This is a world of hardship. This is a world of friction and tension and things running into each other and getting hungry and thirsty and all these needs that we have and so on and so forth. That's what this life is all about. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to see when these needs come up, when these clash of interests come up, how are we going to react? How are we going to satisfy the needs that we have? Are we going to take the permissible routes to satisfy our needs, or are we going to take the impermissible ones? This is only possible, these kinds of tests are only possible in this life. These tests don't happen in the barzakh. They don't happen in Yawm al-Qiyamah. These tests don't happen in the realm of the angels. The realm of the angels is not a place where tests happen. It's only in a material world like this one that these tests can happen. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is giving us a workout here. You know, you walk into a gym, what do you want to see when you walk into a gym? When you walk into a gym, you want to see weights. You want to see equipment. You want to see blood, sweat, and tears. That's what you want to see. If you walk into a gym and you see the donut stand, the ice cream corner, and some of you are looking at each other, I don't know what that means, as if your friend goes to the gym for these things. If you want a burger, you go here. If you want soda, who pays money for a gym that has these things in it? They're like, hey, our gym is different than any other gym. Our gym, unlike other gyms that give you hardship, our gym gives you ease and comfort. Here, have a donut. No one's going to sign up to that gym. They want the hardship. Why? Because that's the only way to get to results, right? In this life also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He only has so many tools to give us that training. Okay? And this is a perspective we need to have, brothers and sisters. We sometimes get caught up in this idea of we're here forever, right? Practically, each and every one of us, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's how it is. Practically, I feel like I'm going to be here forever. When I think I'm going to be here forever, the smallest things get on my nerves. The smallest tests that come my way, the smallest arguments I have with mom, dad, husband, wife, children are going to get to me, right? Why? Because this perspective of this is just a place that I'm coming to because I have to go through this. There's going to be some hardships here. I got to be ready for them and go to the other side. I don't have this perspective practically. I have to fix this perspective. Once this perspective is fixed, some of these tests become easier. One of the major ones that we're going to talk about today being those tests, okay? And that brings me to one of the tools Allah has for our spiritual growth. He only has so many tools. When you're young, before you're baligh, or earlier after you're bulugh, you'll have certain tests. After you get married, you have certain tests. After you get older, you have certain tests. There's one test though that's always there from the beginning till the end, and that is the test of the parents. And so, brothers and sisters, I want us to understand that it's not like you have Allah and the Imams. I have to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have to obey the Imams, and the rest of the people of the world are either my relatives or they're not my relatives. With my relatives, I can't cut ties with them. With the rest of the world, I don't have to have ties with them. I just have to go by certain rules that we have in Islam, and that's about it. No, there's another category as well of people. You have Allah. You have the Imams. You have others that are Muslim, let's say, that are your relatives. Others that are not your relatives. And out of relatives, there's another category called parents. It has its own rules, brothers and sisters. We have to understand this. We can't look at the parents as just another relative of mine. No, there's special rules here. And you can tell that there are special rules here once we get to some verses of the Quran. So we're going to go through some verses of the Quran, and especially one of the verses of Quran that speaks about parents. See what we can get out of that verse to understand that, wow, me as a lover of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, yeah, it's easy to love Imam Hussein, but once I have to prove my love, one of those ways I have to prove my love is, how do I deal with my parents? Now, I'm going to continue to talk under one condition. The older brothers and sisters who are parents here, okay, I don't want you going home tonight and تعطيك ولدك كف and you say, see what Shaykh said? I told you this and that. No. Everything is going to be the same way it was, okay? Parents, you don't need to, tell them, I told you so, that kind of thing. But younger guys who are listening to me who have parents and have this blessing of parents, between me and you, man, let's talk a little bit, all right? And take things a little more serious. So I want you guys to keep this in mind. I don't want your parents to have to remind you tonight, see what Shaykh said and all that kind of stuff. No. We want to talk about verses of the Quran. I want to read to you a part of Sahifa Sajjadiyah about parents. It's beautiful. It is so nice. And you're like, wow, yes, parents are another category of people separate that have their own rules. Because Imam Sajjad doesn't talk about anybody else like this. And then once we go through that, if I have time, I want to speak about share a story with you about one of the Abbasid Khalifas and what happened with him because of what he did with one of his parents. Alright? Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So in the Quran, we have 4 places where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions parents, okay? But you can tell parents, out of all the relatives I have, they have a significant station and rank. Why? Because of where Allah brings their name. This is a very important topic. I've spoken about it before as well. I felt like I need to speak about it here. So that, as I said, we don't leave this world and we see that all of our good deeds went down the drain because of making mistakes in regards to this topic. Look at how important this topic is. The Quran says, لا تعبدون إلا Surah Baqarah verse 83. لا تعبدون إلا الله. And then right after this verse that says, you are to not worship anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. You all heard this verse before, right? Think about it though. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about the most important thing that He will never overlook, which is shirk versus tawheed, and the oneness of Allah and worshipping only Allah, you would think the next thing that comes is probably about salah, probably about I don't know what else. But no, following the Prophet, this, that, it says no. You worship only me and you're good to your parents. Wow. So you're like, okay, that's one verse though. Maybe there was a mistake. But then you'll have another verse. Surah Nisa, verse 36. Wa'abudullah, O people, worship Allah, obey Allah. Wala tushriku bihi shay'a. Don't you dare ascribe any partners to Allah. And then you're like, okay, what after that? وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. You're good to your parents again. You're like, okay, maybe twice a mistake. Then the Surah An'am verse 151 says, no, listen to me. أَن لَا تُشْرِكُوا بِهِ شَيْئًا, that you're not supposed to ascribe any partners to Allah and have any shirk whatsoever. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا again. So wow, right after Tawheed, usually when we're learning the principles of our faith, we say Tawheed, Nubuwwa, Imama, these ones. But the Quran says Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then parents. 3 times it has this wording. Okay. Now the fourth one that I want to share, which is Surah Isra, verses 23 to 24. This one gets into some details, and that's the one we want to kind of talk about today. Okay. It says, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّهُ. Allah has decreed that you are to only worship Him. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Surprise, surprise. Okay, so this is the 4th time now. But then there's more. إِمَّا يَبْلُغَنَّ عِنْدَكَ الْكِبَرَ أَحَدُهُمَا أَوْ كِلَاهُمَا فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. And we'll talk about this uff. You guys have heard this one before. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. That's verse 23. Verse 24 says, وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. So there are some points in this verse. Let me translate the verse first. It says that Allah has decreed that you're not going to worship anyone but Him, and that you're going to be good to your parents. If one or both of them reaches old age, okay, with you, فَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ. Don't say anything that expresses your disgust, your what is it? This whatever. This what? Disdain. MashaAllah, brother. Your disdain and disappointment towards them. Okay? The Arabic word for that is uff. Okay? It says don't say uff to them. Uff means like if I show my disgust to them. You know what really hurts sometimes? The rolling eyes thing. I would say uff, an example of that maybe is the rolling eyes that some of our kids do. Did you do this? Right? And there's a moment of silence. Well, that, if it's breaking their heart, if it's bothering them, is a problem. But I love Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We don't know if Imam Hussein is going to love us back if we're making these kinds of mistakes, though. The Quran is very clear. Don't say anything or show or exhibit any form of disgust in their face. Now, if that wasn't enough, it says, لا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما. Don't shout at them. Obviously, if someone is not supposed to say oof, obviously they're not supposed to shout. You know what I'm saying? But the Quran still spells this out, because just some people aren't very smart, it seems. And they're like, yeah, I never said oof, but I shouted at them. No, the Quran says, no, you can't even shout at them. وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا. Say something noble and nice to them, actually. So we want to talk about this verse and then the next verse. Out of the different, number one point that I want to point out here in this verse is that out of all the different stages of the parents that we have, the Quran put its finger on the hardest stage, which is when? Which is when they're older. Okay? And when they have reached al-kibar, the Quran says. Alright, think about it. You now you're in your 20s, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, you're super successful, you're an entrepreneur, because that's the cool thing today, right? I have this many followers, blah, blah, blah. Alright. Super successful. Mom and dad, on the other hand, super old school. They don't even know how to use the phone. And now I'm a doctor, this is what I am. My dad still thinks that he can tell me what to do, what not to do, imposing their will on us. I have to take care of them. These kinds of things. The Quran has put its finger on the hardest stage, you know. It's hard enough to have to take care of them when they're much older. Yeah? Especially if you're super successful. And you've reached the point where you're like, my dad never thought I'd make it, but look, Dad, I made it. Now the Quran is saying, this is where I'm watching you. This is where all your growth is lying. You can grow greatly spiritually through these tests now. Being patient with them. You're busy with your own life and all of that, but yeah, there is a separate category made for them because they're parents at the end of the day. Now someone might say, oh, I don't like my parents didn't do much for me, this and that. We'll talk about that later inshallah when we read what Imam Sajjad says. Alright, so what are the three things that we said? Number one, it said don't say oof. Number two, don't shout. Not only am I supposed to not show my disgust and not shout and all of that kind of stuff, even if I have a problem with them, the Quran said not only do you not say oof, not only do you not shout, but say good things to them. This is more than just, bottle it up. You can't stand them, you can't tolerate them. Now wait until we get to the next verse, it's going to be even more than that. You see, sometimes I'm patient with them, right? I'm patient with them, I won't say anything to them, I won't shout at them. It says that's not even enough, as if. Not only don't say anything bad, make sure to say good things. But oh Allah, stop, don't continue. This is the test, man. But they're not being rational. We'll talk about that later. You know what, let's just talk about it now. They're not being rational. Oh Allah. First of all, how do you know? There are so many things that I look back on that I thought were the right thing. Now I'm like, dang, thank God that one didn't happen. Or else I wouldn't be on this minbar right now, I'll tell you that. Okay? Dad says you can't go out with this friend of yours. Dad says you can't go watch this movie. You can't go there, you can't go here. Everyone else had a color TV. Ours was black and white, bro. Yeah. Everyone else had, back then it was Super Nintendo. I didn't have Super Nintendo. Okay? Now, whatever the reason was, you get what I'm trying to say. Examples, these are examples. Later on in life, you're like, wow, I was pursuing this, I was pursuing that. Sometimes even you're trying to get married and they don't let you. Later on it turns out that, okay, it might have been the best thing, it wasn't the best for me. I'm not saying this is all the time though. All I'm saying is that they have experience and they want the best for us. But let us assume that they are 100% wrong about something. Okay? It might happen. How am I supposed to deal with them? Let's see how we're supposed to deal with them. We'll get there. So, don't say oof, don't shout. Not only that, say something good. But then look at the next verse. Oh Allah, why are you doing this to me? He says, because I want your growth. I only have so many tools to test you with. Not only that, Mr. Super Successful Entrepreneur that is too good for his parents now. Yeah? وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. Spread out your wings of mercy for them out of lowliness and dhillah. Think about it. We are taught to never give in to disgrace, lowliness, dhillah. But the Quran is saying, I want you to show dhillah to them. What? Here, this is where some people become super ashura'i. They're like, hayhat minna dhillah. Never to humiliation. Habibi, that's not for this situation. Dad says, or mom says, go wash the dishes. You're like, hayhat minna dhillah. The Quran is saying, وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ. I want you to spread out your wings as if you are dhalil. You are lowly for them. Out of mercy. Okay? Now, there are different interpretations of this part of the verse. Some have said what is meant is, have you seen how a mother bird opens up its wings and covers her babies or chicks with it? Yeah? Something like that. Allama Tabatabai, who is one of our greatest mufassirin of the Quran, he says something else. He says, no, that doesn't really work with the wording of the verse. That interpretation is not very accurate and doesn't really correspond with the wording of the verse. Because when a mother bird opens up her wings over her chicks, is she doing it out of lowliness? No, there's no lowliness there. There's no need there. The mother, if anything, the mother, by spreading her wings over her chicks, is showing that, I'm stronger than you, I'm bigger than you, I'm taking care of you. So there is mercy, but there's no dhull. You know what Tabatabai says? And you could tell my man was watching some of these Discovery channels. Okay? Because he says that, have you not seen these little chicks? It's not talking about the mother bird. It's talking about the chicks. How these chicks, when the mother comes over the nest with that juicy fat worm in her mouth. Okay? Sahten. And the chicks find out that mommy is there. What do? Have you seen this? I've seen little birds do this. Like they will bring their wings out and they're moving their head and opening their mouth and beak. I can't show you more than this because it won't look great. But you know what I'm trying to say? Take their wings out. This taking their wings out, okay? This taking their wings out is out of dhull. They are showing the mother that I need the fat, juicy worm more. The other one is competing with this one, flapping its wings harder to show that I need it more. So each of them is competing with each other in lowliness and dhillah. Ain't nobody saying, hey, hat min dhillah here. And so this child, the Quran, is saying, just like that little baby bird, you who are now the big shot that you are, and they've reached al-kibar indak, they've reached a high age next to you, out of your mercy for them and your love for them, spread out your wings of lowliness and show as if you're the one in need of them still. It's not that easy, but people, we're looking for shortcuts. Usually we're looking for shortcuts. One of those shortcuts to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is parents, all the way. But yeah, it gets bitter sometimes. Yes, I won't get recognition for it. If I'm in the center lecturing up here, I get recognition. But if I don't have the right intentions, they won't give me a lollipop on the Day of Judgment. With parents, you want to get there quick? You want to make it to the destination quick? Put your parents on a pedestal. Now someone might say, but when I do that, they take advantage and all of that. Okay, if you feel like you're getting hurt too much and all of that, keep a balance. The minimum is لا تقل لهما أف ولا تنهرهما. At least this much where you don't disrespect. Don't slam the door when you get angry. Don't say something, God forbid. Don't shout. Don't roll your eyes in a way that, sometimes I'd rather the person just hit me with an iron rod than roll their eyes at me. That rolling of the eyes breaks my back. Have you noticed? Sometimes the rolling of the eyes is so powerful. There's a verse of the Quran even, وَإِذْ يَكَادُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَيُزْلِقُونَكَ بِأَبْصَارِهِمْ. Oh Prophet, some of these people out there, they're trying to take you down with just the way they look at you and they roll their eyes at you. That's one of the interpretations of this verse. There's other interpretations too, but this is one of the interpretations. That some people during the Prophet's time, they would sneer at the Prophet and look at him so bad as if they want to knock him down just by the way they're looking at him. Sometimes some of us might look, God forbid, might look at our parents in this way. This is how hassas and sensitive the matter is. And then I'm like, no, but I love Imam Hussein. Come on. وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. Yeah. وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. Okay, this dhul, this lowliness, I want to share this story with you. Some of you have heard it probably. And that's the story of the cow of Bani Israel. Okay? It's very relevant to what we're talking about. Now, obviously there's going to be benefits in our akhirah for us when we show respect to our parents. Okay? There's going to be benefits in the afterlife for sure. That's because we're fulfilling what Allah has commanded us to. But there's also sometimes, not all the time, sometimes even worldly benefits as well. The story of Bani Israel, the cow of Bani Israel, is a famous one. You know, it's the name of that surah, the biggest surah in the Quran. When we're kids growing up, we're like, wow, the biggest surah in the Quran is called the surah of the cow, the Baqarah. And so we're like kind of disappointed. We're like, why is the biggest surah of the Quran named after a cow? Because the lesson about the cow is so important. It's all about submission to Allah's will and command, which Bani Israel didn't have. But anyway, in that story, now this is not in the Quran, we have hadiths for this, okay? That there was this young, you have the Bani Israel and Prophet Musa tells them, Allah says you have to slaughter a cow, and they're like, well, what kind of cow does it have to be? They're trying to find a way out of it. Bro, just kill the cow. Just sacrifice the cow. They're like, no, we want to make sure, what kind of cow is it supposed to be? Is it supposed to be this color, this size, this gender, I guess, that gender? Back then it was a little different than today when it comes to these matters. So, this Bani Israel narrowed it down to one cow that fit the description. They could have just slaughtered any cow, but they made it harder on themselves because they were trying to find excuses and a way out. So Bani Israel now has to find a cow that fits this description. There's only one of them out there. Keep that in mind. Let's shift over to another story here, and then we'll link the two stories together. You'll see the link yourselves. What happened? What's going on? Well, there's a young man, and as a matter of fact, he was an entrepreneur. He was a merchant. He had a business. He had a little shop, and he would bring his father, his retired old father, to the shop and sit him there, based on what I remember from the story. And he wanted his dad to feel good, that he, is still productive and he's still important, So he had given the dad apparently the key to the cash register. Back then it was probably a little box or something. Now one day, someone wants to do a very good deal with him. Okay? Here, I want to sell you 1 Bitcoin for 10K. How much is it right now? 50, 60, I don't know. All right, I want to sell you a Bitcoin for 10K. He's like, bro, that's awesome. I'll take 10 of them. Let me pay you in cash. And then he wants to go grab the money from the box or whatever it was from the box, that the key is in the hand of the dad. The box is locked, but guess what? Dad is asleep. The key, if I want to get the key, I have to wake my dad up from his nap. He's like, what do I do? On one hand, that flashy Bitcoin. I mean, it's a digital thing, it doesn't flash, but whatever. You get the point. On the other hand, my dad, the respect of my dad, honoring my dad, that kind of thing. My dad might not even get upset. He might even get happy that I wake him up. Right? Because they say, good job, son. That's what you're supposed to do as a businessman. You're supposed to, catch these deals, snipe them. But he says, no, I just can't. I'm not going to wake my dad up out of respect for my dad. His dad wakes up and finds out about this thing. The kid loses the deal, right? Misses out on this big money he could have made. And so dad finds out later that his son made this sacrifice because of the honor he has for his dad and the respect he has for him. Dad was like, son, thank you so much. When we honor parents, especially when we get older ourselves, like you're in your 30s, your 40s, and now your parents are in their 60s, 70s, they sometimes might feel like, I'm obsolete to my child, to my kid that's now 40, now super successful, more successful than me, than I was. Just the fact that you show them or you honor them, it gives them this boost in their morale and in their spirit. God knows how happy Allah gets, in my opinion. The fact that you make them feel special. No, you're still relevant. Who says you're not relevant? Anyway, the dad says, I have nothing to give you. I'm so happy that you showed me this respect and honor. All I have is this cow that is yellowish in color, that's only this age and is good for nothing. It doesn't till the ground. You can't ride it. None of that stuff. Well, guess what? This cow that he gave to his son turns out to be the cow that Bani Israel has to slaughter. And you know how Bani Israel be banking. What happens is that he sells this cow to them because they have no choice but to buy this cow. And he jacks the price up. Why not? I'd do that too. Jacks the price up. Instead, forget about the 10 Bitcoin. Gets 1,000 Bitcoin from them. Okay? This same kid. His name is Satoshi. No, I'm just kidding about that part. If you know, you know. Alright, so you see, here we have a hadith by the Holy Prophet ﷺ. He says, "Unzuru ila al-birri ma balagha bi ahlihi." He says, look at how far righteousness can get those who are the people of righteousness. This kid showed respect. Now, there's no guarantee that we're going to always, this is going to always happen. Like the new iPhone comes out, so I go and hug my mom and dad, and I'm waiting for an iPhone to fall out from the sky. It's not how it's going to work all the time. But sometimes, even in the dunya, it shows itself. I'll tell you this much though. You might have two people who put the exact same effort in, who do whatever they're supposed to be successful in life, in university, and whatever it is that they're pursuing. One of them becomes successful, one of them doesn't become successful. It sometimes might come down to just the fact that one of them honored their parents more than the other. We don't know how things work, what the equations look like, I don't know. But what we do know is there's a barakah that comes as a result of these things sometimes. In this case, the cow, you see it, it's tangible. Sometimes you don't see it. You don't know that your success owes to one case where you wanted to slam the door, but you said, you know what, because of Allah, I'm not going to slam the door, because even though I'm angry, I'm not going to slam the door. That's what it comes down to. Remember I said, Allah only has so many tools for us to grow with. Yes. So, let's go back to our verse now. It said, وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا. The last thing in verse 24 of Surah Isra, وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. 2 points here that I want to point out. Number one is that this person who is now taking care of their parents, sometimes the parents have reached a point that they are like children even. That's how old and feeble and frail they've gotten. This is how life is. The Quran talks about this. That yes, you all go, you have a peak, and then you will come down, and you will be يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ أَرْذَلِ الْعُمُرِ, it's called. The lowest levels sometimes you come down to. I think Allah, once it's time to leave, brothers and sisters, sometimes Allah wants to just remind us and humble us before we leave this dunya. Sometimes it's through old age. Yeah. And so, this person now has to be taking care of their children who are now super successful. And it's like taking care of a baby. It says, okay, when this happens, say, oh Allah, I might be taking care of my parents right now, and they're like children. They might not even be able to think properly anymore. But have mercy on them the same way they had mercy on me when I was a kid. In other words, hey, remember when you were a baby? Well, of course you don't remember because you were a baby. But do you remember how every single night you would wake mom and dad up? How every single day, instead of praying 5 times a day because you were a baby, you can't pray. Instead, you would potty 5 times a day. And they had to change you. Remember all of that? Don't complain now. That's what this life is all about. Life is a struggle. Now you have to take care of them. Remember, قُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا. You getting upset? It's hard? Say, oh Allah, I remember how they did the same for me. So you also have mercy on them the same way they had mercy on me. That's one point. Another point. And some have pointed this out. They say, it first said, don't say oof. Second, it said, I said it like an American way, don't say oof. Oof. Second, don't shout. Third, say something good. Fourth, the wing thing. Number 5, not only are you supposed to say good things, in your heart, you're supposed to kind of force yourself to like them. Now, I can understand. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes, some parents, unfortunately, will be problematic. I understand. But it's not the default. lots of us, our parents, if they make us upset sometimes, it's fine. It's not that they have an issue, they have a problem. I need to hate them or something. No. So this verse is saying, not only do you say good things to them and not say bad things, not only that, in your heart you have to do dua for them. Forget about what you tell them even. Allah says, I know what's going on in your heart. I want you to be good to them even in your heart. Forget about the tongue. The tongue for sure. The tongue for sure. I have to be careful about. But even in your heart, you can't be like, oh, mom, dad, I love you so much. But inside your heart, you're like, oh, I hate you so much. Even there, you have to try. It says, you say in your heart, oh Allah, have mercy on them the same way they had mercy on me. Like, this is another category of people, brothers and sisters. There is no one else in the world that we have to be like this towards. No other relative. So parents are not just another relative. The Quran, Islam has opened up a separate chapter for them. It's a separate category. I want us to remember that. وَقُلْ رَبِّ ارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِ صَغِيرًا. Now, Allah keeps it real. Allah understands that, yeah, the struggle, it's not that easy, and we might sometimes make mistakes. So, what does He end everything with? He says, رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا فِي نُفُوسِكُمْ. Allah knows best what's going on in your hearts. You messed up. You're upset that, you slammed the door. All right, don't slam the door again. And understand that Allah forgives. It's not easy. The test is hard. When you live with someone, it's different than a person that you just see, let's say, at the center. That's it. It's very hard. There's no recognition whatsoever. No matter how much patience you exhibit, no one's going to ever know. And you have to keep being with that person, whether it's mom, dad, husband, wife, or your kids or siblings. Out of all of these that I just mentioned, the parents are the most important. It says, رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا فِي نُفُوسِكُمْ. Allah knows best what's going on in your hearts. إِن تَكُونُوا صَالِحِينَ. Be good, be righteous as much as you can. فَإِنَّهُ كَانَ لِلْأَوَّابِينَ غَفُورًا. If you are penitent, if you are regretful of the mistakes you make, all right, Allah will forgive. But give it, you got to try. You got to put the effort in. You want to go to Jannah? You want eternity and infinity? This is the way. They're not going to give it easily, brothers and sisters. It's not going to be easy. This is one of those tests. There's other tests in life as well, but this is one of those big ones. Now, having said that, let's move into the dua of Imam Sajjad. Okay? If Imam Sajjad hadn't said these things that I'm about to read, I don't think anyone would have the right to say it like this. But look at what Imam Sajjad says. In the dua, that's for the parents. I'm going to skip some parts. Look at what he says here though. And then let's look at ourselves and where we are on the spectrum. Okay? Out of 1 to 10, what number do I give myself if this is the 10? Okay, it says, God, lower before them my voice. Oh Allah, this is what I'm asking you for. Lower before them my voice. Imam Sajjad is indirectly telling you and I, you better make sure to lower your voice with them. Make agreeable to them my words. We might disagree sometimes. If you can, oh Allah, make them agreeable. So they'll agree sometimes, they might disagree sometimes. Make mild before them my temper. Make tender toward them my heart. And turn me into their kind companion, their loving friend. Oh Allah, thank them for my upbringing. Reward them for honoring me. Guard them as they guarded me in my infancy. O Allah, whatever harm has touched them from me, detested thing that has reached them from me, or right of theirs which has been neglected by me, allow it to alleviate their sins. Take this as a kafara for them. Take this as a reason for you to forgive them of their sins. How much I bothered them? Let that be something that wipes away their sins. Now, I don't want you guys tomorrow to be like, yeah, I'm just trying to wipe away my parents' sins. Raise them in their degrees, add to their good deeds. O He who changes evil deeds into manifold good deeds. O Allah, whatever word, now this is important right here. whatever word through which they have transgressed against me. So before this it was saying, if I've hurt them. Now the Imam is saying, if they hurt me. Transgress, dhulm. If I remember correctly, the Arabic had the word dhulm in it. But it's the parents. Look at what the Imam says. Here it's not time to say, hayhat min nadillah. You, inti Yazid, wa ana Imam Hussein. No, I'm going to fight you now. No. Here is different. It says, oh Allah, whatever harm has touched that, whatever word through which they have transgressed against me. So if they've said something. Or act through which they have been immoderate with me. Right of mine which they have left neglected, or obligation toward me in which they have fallen short, I grant it to them. I forgive, I don't care. And bestow it upon them. And I ask you, I beseech you, to remove from them its ill consequence. I'm doing tawbah for them because of the wrong that they did towards me. What? Imam Sajjad, but your father said, hayhat min nadillah. For I do not accuse them concerning myself. I give them benefit of the doubt towards me. Guys, we're young, we're growing up. They sometimes make us upset. They sometimes might seem irrational. Look what the Imam is saying. Sometimes people come up to me, they're like, my parents are being so irrational. Well, that's why the test is. If they're being rational, then that's not a test anymore. Think about it. Son, today, I think you should play 8 hours of video games. Baba, Allah has told me to obey my parents. And I shall be a good son to you and I will listen to you. Not even 7 hours and 59 minutes. All 8 hours, I will listen to you. Well, that's making sense to you, Habib. It's imtihan, in test, you know? The test is when they're not making sense to me. Now, sometimes they might be right, sometimes they might be wrong, but that's where Allah's watching to see what you're going to do. Don't be like, oh, I didn't say oof, I just slammed the door. You know, what are you talking about? Who are we kidding? I beseech thee to remove from them its ill consequence, for I do not accuse them concerning myself. I don't find them slow in their devotion toward me, or dislike the way they have attended to my affairs, my Lord. They have rights against me which are more incumbent, precedence and beneficence towards me that is greater, kindness towards me that is mightier, and than that I should settle accounts with justice. Here, all of a sudden, I want to become the one who establishes adlullah al-ard. And I want to make sure that my parents are brought to justice. We settle things based on justice. What does the Imam say? He says, what am I even thinking if I ever want to settle things with them going on by justice and getting everything that I need to, my haqq from them or something? Come on. Now I say all of this, brothers and sisters, there will be exceptions sometimes. Sometimes parents might be abusive and beyond that which is reasonable and is permissible and allowed and all of that kind of stuff. In these cases, there's special attention that is needed to be given to this matter, this relationship and all of that. I'm speaking in general terms here. Because it seems sometimes even general terms, and we haven't even understood what the rule is, to then make exceptions if we need to make exceptions. Then that I should settle accounts with justice or repay them with equivalence, get them back the way they got me. No, it's not like that. Where then, my God, would be their long occupation with bringing me up? Like, why am I supposed to fight them when they've done so much for me, he's saying. Anyway, it goes on and on. Let me see if there's anything else I don't want to miss here. Yeah, there's a lot more that I'll skip. And finally, inshallah, those who want, they can go and look at the dua. There's some crazy stuff here, man. I'll just read this last part. O Allah, if thy forgiveness reaches them first, make them my intercessors, my shufa'a. And if thy forgiveness reaches me first, make me their intercessors. In other words, we're together for the long haul. So that we may gather together through thy gentleness in the house of thy generosity. Yeah. Now, We talked about some of the good things that happen even in the dunya. I want to share a story now to show that there's a link even in the dunya, yeah, because of the importance of the parents. There's a link in the dunya even when it comes to bad things. I'll make it as short as possible. There's an Abbasid Khalifa. Of course, we've all heard of Mutawakkil, alayhi al-la'na wal-adab. He has a son by the name of Muntasir. Okay? Just to show you all that Allah doesn't mess around when it comes to this link or this relationship of parent and child. There's an actual reality out there. That even if something happens that's not good, but it's based on haqq even, it will still have that negative effect. You'll see what I mean. So, what happens is, this Muntasir, he had a private teacher, the son of Mutawakkil, the one who tried to destroy Imam Hussein's grave, Mutawakkil. A mal'oon for sure. His son has a tutor that had love and respect for Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So his son Muntasir is growing up with this respect for the Ahlul Bayt. Mutawakkil, on the other hand, disrespects Ahlul Bayt. And so he had clowns even that would come and make fun of Imam Ali and all that kind of stuff. Now one time, one of these clowns is making fun of Imam Ali. Muntasir tells his father, "Father, if you want to eat the flesh of Imam Ali the way you are, as if through what you're doing, why are you letting this clown, this dog, also eat the flesh? Why are you sharing the flesh of Imam Ali, so to speak, with this individual?" And he pointed to the individual. He's like, "I'm going to get you for this." Another time, the father himself made fun of one of the Ahlul Bayt. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Sayyida Zahra. And so he had enough. His son had enough. Okay, his dad is a Nasibi. Mutawakkil is a Nasibi. There is no respect for Nawasib. This is one of those exceptions. Those who have hate for Ahlul Bayt and are enemies of Ahlul Bayt, there's no respect for them. Even if it's your father, you fight him in the battle of Badr, for example. Your father, your uncle, it doesn't matter anymore. Because what was before parents? Tawheed, right? So we have Allah and the Ahlul Bayt first, and then we have parents. So those are not to be compromised for this, right? Anyway, he asks his teacher, can I take the life of my father? And the teacher says, yeah, you can, because he's a Nasibi. But I'm just letting you know, because you're his son, if you do this, you won't live long, because this is just a rule that's there on this earth that we live on. It's a takwini rule, they call it. It's an athar wad'i, as they call it. Whether you like it or not. I'll give you another example. For example, we have hadiths that say if you cut ties with your blood relatives, right? I am za'lan minnak, and I don't want to speak with you anymore, and you don't want to speak to someone. This is a problem, and it says it shortens your life. But parents, if a person, God forbid, is involved in taking the life of a parent, they might not live long after that. Even if the parent is a bad person. This teacher of his tells this Abbasid Khalifa, Muntasir, he tells him, look, you might not live long. He says, it doesn't matter. And so he's involved in the death of his father, Mutawakkil. And guess what? He actually left the world himself a little bit after. It's just a rule that's there, brothers and sisters. It's not something to play with. You don't play with fire. Parents, you gotta be super careful when it comes to parents. Super careful. Super cautious. Otherwise, all the good I do, it just goes all down the drain. Let's be careful about that. Now, some might say, my parents are not in this world anymore. You can do mustahabbat on their behalf. You can show them respect even though they've left this world. That is the guarantee, brothers and sisters. So, to wrap it up, although it wasn't directly connected to Muharram, yeah, but for us as lovers of Ahlul Bayt, lovers of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we want to make sure that we've checked these boxes at least, so that we don't leave this dunya thinking we're set all of a sudden to see that because my mom, because my dad, I had broken their heart again and again. And our parents are great people. They will forgive us, you know, when we make mistakes. But it shouldn't reach a point where I break their heart to the point where now they are aqqa. of me. We have hadith. You have aqq. Your parents have uquq against you, or uquq with an ayn, and they are aqq of you, you're in big trouble. And so I wanted to say this now. Does this mean I have to obey them in everything they say? We have to talk about that. That's a separate discussion. You have to ask your marja' taqreed about that. But what I'm trying to say right now is this. Even if I'm not going to listen, I have to tread super carefully to not break their hearts, not disrespect them, not make them feel like they don't know what they're talking about, etc., etc., etc. Yeah? This is just how it is, brothers and sisters. Allah, Ahlul Bayt, parents. And then the rest of the world. Inshallah, we keep these things in mind. Inshallah, Allah gives us tawfiq to be good to our parents, to have this at least under our belts. If anything's going to work for us on the other side, this is going to be one of them, inshallah ta'ala. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi al-tayyibin al-tahirin. Salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
That's my. This is all. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. We do have another sweet donation on behalf of Marhoume Dr. Hajj Lamis Harb. On behalf of this message, if we can please recite Surah Al-Fatiha on her soul. بعد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Inshallah, everybody's doing well. Qabullah a'malakum. Again, the same reminder every single night. We'll keep it quick. Tears are very important, but inshallah, they lead to action. So if you want to take 10 seconds to do istighfar to help soften the heart, to shed more tears so we can benefit through the majalis, with one salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. At Al-Bajid says crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam is cashed like a piece of pearls. It's like a piece of pearl on the Day of Judgment, he says. When they don't buy other things from us, they'll buy this pearl from us, inshallah, these tears that we shed on these nights. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله. صلى الله عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة ومواليها لسانه ومختلف الملائكة. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon you, our beloved holy Prophet, and the Ahlul Bayt. It was in your homes that Allah blessed us with guidance and revelation. And upon you descend the angels day in and day out. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdillah. Sallallahu alayka ya Mazlum. Sallallahu alayka ya ayyuha ash-shaheed fi Karbala. Our beloved oppressed Imam, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon you. The Imam who was slaughtered by the shores of the Euphrates while his mouth was dry of thirst. Everybody together, Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya Hussein, Ya Habibi, Ya Hussein, Nur Aini, Ya Hussein, Ya Rahmatullah al-Wasi'a, Hussein, our beloved Hussein, light of our eyes, Hussein, mercy of Allah, Hussein. Brothers and sisters, we dedicate this night to the companions of Abu Abdullah. These companions who the Imam addresses on the night prior to Karbala massacre, saying, I don't know of any companions better or more loyal than mine, nor relatives as righteous in keeping of kinship than mine. May Allah reward you on behalf of me all of good. Imagine these companions hearing these words, knowing the coming day would be their last. Abu Abdullah went on to say, and I believe this is our last day. Alas, I grant you permission to leave, and I won't hold anything against you. The night is set upon you. You may take your camels and leave. It is said that one of the companions, Muslim ibn Awsajah, has been heard to have said, والله لو علمت أني أقتل ثم أحيا ثم أحرى ثم أضرى يفعل بي ذلك 70 مرة ما تركتك فكيف وإنما هي قتلة واحدة ثم الكرامة إلى الأبد. He says, by Allah, were I to know that I'd be killed, brought back to life, then burned, then left to rest, then be killed again, and brought back to life and burned 70 times over, I would never leave you, for it's a one-time death to attain honor for the rest of eternity. A blessed poet helps us visualize the words of these companions, these ashab. We stand here before you, our numbers may be few, but here we are, the best of companions, from where are our lessons. Maytham at-Tammar, Maytham gave everything, a moon that was circling your father's star. For Ali crucified, we've come with the same pride from near and far. Our faith will not shatter, like Malik al-Ashtar, we're a mountain, a scar upon his eye, so may our bodies lie here in ruin. Thirsty, we'll drink the sword, we'll be quenched by our Lord at the fountain that sits inside heaven. We'll wait there with Hassan for you, Hussein. This is how the companions of Abu Abdullah alayhi salam were, brothers and sisters. And that is how the companions of Sahab al-Asr was Zaman ought to be. These companions were elite warriors, masters of all the Muslims. Some had lived amongst the Prophet ﷺ, and others were just committed followers. Many of them had witnessed the battles and events of the commander of the believers, Imam Ali alayhi salam. The companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam were the most noble warriors amongst the Muslims, and yet the most intelligent and learned. Their commitment to martyrdom with Imam Hussein is unprecedented in the history of Muslim armies. And make no mistake, this was no coincidence on this day. These people had firm ideologies and true following. In every sense of the word to their Imam, to the Imam of their time. They stood firm upon faith and in their jihad and struggle until this day, in which their stances are venerated and admired for the noble of us to emulate and follow them. They represented the standard by which we measure loyalty, sacrifice, and giving one's life, and everything they had for the Imam of their time. Among these noble companions was John Mawla Midar al-Ghaffari, Habib ibn Mudahir, Muslim ibn Awsaja, Hurr al-Riyahi, and many others. Hurr al-Riyahi, brothers and sisters, was a captain of Yazid's army. He was the captain who stopped Abu Abdullah from going to Kufa in the desert. He with his 1,000 men forced Hussein to come to Karbala and stay there. The name Hurr means to be free. Hurr lived up to his name. He freed himself from the fire of hell before it was too late. We should think of Hurr all the time during our life. Hurr had a choice between hell and heaven, a choice between glory in this world and happiness in the hereafter. It is never too late to ask for forgiveness. Hurr chose heaven, he chose happiness in the akhirah. In our lifetime there are many times when we have to make a choice between good and bad, between halal and haram, between right and wrong, between hell and heaven. Look at the disrespect shown to the grandson of the Holy Prophet. It is said that the enemies have said, there is water near, dogs and pigs drink from it, even wolves take from it, but you cannot have a drop from it, Ya Hussein. Hurr was very restless, and he is surely thinking what a great mistake he made by stopping Hussein in Karbala, as if his heart is screaming, what have I done? Why did I put the son of Fatima in this position? Will Hussein forgive me? Will Allah forgive me? It's said that the 10th of Muharram arrives. It is very early in the morning. The horses in Yazid's camp were hot and uncomfortable. They were jumping up and down. They could not keep their hooves on the ground because it was so hot. The soldiers of Yazid poured buckets of water on the horses' hooves to cool them and calm them. Hurr watches as the gallons of water are poured on the horses. He couldn't take it anymore. Maybe he's thinking in this moment, so much water for the animals, while the children of Fatima are crying for a few drops of water. There's so much water for the animals, but none for the grandson of the Holy Prophet. Hurr was intensely thinking, going back and forth. One of the soldiers saw him and says, Hurr, if anyone was to ask me who the bravest warrior in Kufa is, I would say it was you, but what is making you tremble so much? Hurr says, I swear by Allah that I'm deciding between heaven and hell, and I will never choose anything over paradise, even if I will be cut up, even if I will be burned. It is said that Hurr mounted the horse and headed towards Hussein's camp. Hussein's camp readied their arms to attack him, but they see that Hurr is not coming for combat. His arms are above his head, and he goes up to Hussein and says, Yabna Rasulullah, son of Rasulullah, I am the one who caused fear to enter the hearts of your women and children. Is there any way that I can be forgiven? Abu Abdullah cries out with any hesitation, saying, Yes, Hurr, yes, Allah has forgiven you. Look at the mercy of Abu Abdullah. Allah is the one who is Arhamur Rahimeen. He is the most merciful and is always waiting for us to turn back to Him. Hurr is now forgiven, but he doesn't stop there. He wants to take permission to go fight on the battlefield. He insisted on being the first to go to battle. Umar ibn Sa'd, the cursed army leader, is prepared to fight against Abu Abdullah and calls out, Ya Durayn, lift your flag. The enemy soldier raises it, stood under it, snatched a bow and shot it towards Abu Abdullah's camp. Umar continued saying, bear witness before the prince that I'm the first to fire an arrow. The rest of Umar's army followed with arrows of their own. Abu Abdullah turns to his companions. He says, Qumu rahimakum Allah. Rise, noble ones, may Allah
have mercy upon you. Prepare yourselves for the inevitable death. The companions gathered themselves all at once. Abu Abdullah gives permission to Hur. Imam Hussein himself mounted Hur on his horse and he went onto the battlefield. He was a strong and brave man. He fought many men bravely and sent many of Yazid's men to death. Eventually Hur came off of his horse, severely wounded, calling for Hussein, Mawlai, Mawlai, come quickly, let me see you for the last time. Hur was on his last breath. Abu Abdullah placed Hur's head in his lap. Fi amanillah, Hur, go Hur. My grandfather is waiting for you. My father and mother are waiting for you. We will join you soon. Fi amanillah. Ajarakumullah. The holy soul of Hur departs on the lands of Karbala. Abu Abdullah with tears in his eyes prays to Allah, asking Allah to forgive Hur and grant him a place in heaven. One of the companions that was fighting was Muslim ibn Awsaja. Abu Abdullah and Habib ibn Mudahir went to Muslim. Imam al-Hussein stood above his head and recited a verse from the Quran after him being severely injured on the ground. Men whom neither traffic nor merchandise can divert from the remembrance of Allah, nor from the prayer, nor from the practice of regular zakat or charity. Their only fear is for the day when hearts and eyes will be transformed into something new. Muslim hadn't passed away, it said. Habib says to him, Muslim, it pains me to see you in your tragedy. Muslim, bear tidings of heaven, ya Muslim. Muslim replies, may Allah give you goodness, my brother Habib. Habib then said to him, had I not known that I'm in the same position as you, I would have wished that you ask of me what you wish. Muslim opened his eyes and pointed to Abu Abdullah and says, Ya Habib, I entrust you to this person to do all good to him. Fight on his behalf and don't fail in aiding him. This Habib, brothers and sisters, he fought with Hussein until glory. How can we forget Habib? It is said that he was 90 years old and was amongst those who witnessed Rasulullah. He stood before Imam al-Hussein and began to cry on Ashura. Abu Abdullah says to him, Ya Habib, have you remembered your family and homelands? You are free to leave if you wish. Habib responded, no, Mawlai, la Mawlai. I have replaced my family with a new family and my home with a new home. Abu Abdullah asks, then why do you cry, Ya Habib? He pointed towards Zainab standing at the tent. He says, I cry for this woman and what will happen to her after you. Hussein looks behind him and saw his sister Zainab. The calamities of Zainab were always on his mind. Habib said, Ya Zainab, the day is coming that you will be put upon a camel and this head of mine will be hanging from the horse's neck and the head of your brother upon the head of a spear along with the heads of the other companions. He hurries to the battlefield and fought like the bravest of warriors. Soon after battling, his voice was heard saying, Ya Abu Abdullah, adrikni, help me. Abu Abdullah came to Habib, put his head in his lap and said, Rahimakallah, may Allah have mercy upon your soul, Ya Habib. Send my salutations to Rasulullah and tell him I'm soon to follow. Oh Habib ibn Mudahir, grab your flag and from your death rise. Abis, Wahab and the rest of the companions were all the same. All of them fought in honor until Imam al-Hussein was left all alone on the battlefield. The Imam began to look left, he began to look right. No Habib, no Muslim, no Ali al-Akbar, no Abbas, no Qasim. The Imam stood before all the bodies of the martyrs and began to call out, Ya Fursan al-Wagha, أناديكم فلا تسمعون وأدعوكم فلا تجيبون أنتم أنيام أرجوكم تنتبهون أن حالت نومتكم بينكم وبين إمامكم فقوموا من نومتكم أيها الكرام وادفعوا عن حرم الرسول هؤلاء الطغاة اللئام. He says, يا حبيب زهير حلال مسلم حر, another companion and another, warriors of the battlefield, lions of war. Why is it that I call upon you but you don't respond? Are you unconscious, or is it that your sleep has separated you from your imam? Rise from your sleep, my dears, and fight off those evil tyrants and defend the women of Rasulullah. Wa Husayna wa Madluma wa Ghariba wa Shahida Hussein, Hussein, Hussein. Everybody together. Ya Husseina, salamun min qulubin anta fiha. Ya Husseina, salamun min qulubin anta fiha. Ya Husseina, لك الأرواح طرا نفتديها. يا حسينا, peace be upon you from all the hearts you are in. Ya Husseina, peace be upon you from all the hearts that you are in. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. To Allah we belong, and to Him is our return, and soon our oppressors will know what change their affairs will take, and the end times will be for the righteous. Ya Allah, in the name of Hussein, by the right of Hussein, by the thirst of Hussein, Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive our sins. We ask you to allow us to shed tears and make a change through these majalis. We ask you to give us a good end on the path of truth. We ask you to fill our hearts with the love of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad. We ask you to cure our sick ones and forgive our deceased, Ya Allah. We ask you to bring relief and victory to the oppressed all around the world, specifically those in Palestine, Ya Allah. We ask you to hasten the return of our Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, and to make us amongst his loyal companions in this world. Ya Arham ar-Rahimin. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-Tahirin.
ثانية الحب الزهراء صلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, if we can stand for Latmiya with one more salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. It is said that on Thursday nights, in some of the narrations, that Imam al-Mahdi reviews our book of deeds 2 times a week, and one of these days, I believe, is on a Thursday night. And it's said that the Imam weeps and cries over the sins that his Shia commit, and this brings him a lot of pain. So we're entering into Thursday night, inshallah, we'll do a Latmiya in remembrance of Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman on this night. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Ya thara lillah, Ya يا ثارى لله عجل فدتك الروح يا ابن البتولي عجل فدتك الروح يا ابن البتولي يا ثارى لله يا ثارى لله عجل فدتك الروح يا ابن البتولي يروون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة يروون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة وترى أعمال مواليكم فتهل الدمعة يروون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة وترى أعمال مواليكم فتهل الدمعة مولاي اذبحني مولاي اذبحني مولاي اذبحني إن كنت شريكا في اللوعة أو خذ بيدي أو خذ بيدي ينقذني من لجات السبعة يروون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة وترى آمال مواليكم فتهل الدمعة مولاي اذبحني مولاي اذبحني إن كنت شريكا في اللوعة أو خذ بيدي أو خذ بيدي ينقذني من لجات السبعة It is said that you observe our acts on the eve of Friday. It is said that you observe our acts on the eve of Friday. But when you see the sins of your followers, you begin your crying. It is said that you observe our acts on the eve of Friday. But when you see the sins of your followers, you begin this crying. Mawlai, come save me. Mawlai, come save me. Mawlai, come save me if I've been constantly sinning. Come take my hand, come take my hand and pull me out of all this darkness. يرون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة وترى آمال مواليكم فتهل الدمعة مولاي اذبحني مولاي اذبحني إن كنت شريكا في اللوعة أو خذ بيدي أو خذ بيدي ينقذني من لجات السبعة. Do you see what's happening in this world, our lonely master? Do you see what's happening in this world, our lonely master? Look at Yemen, Lebanon, and Palestine, witness this disaster. Do you see what's happening in this world, our lonely master? Do you see what's happening in this world, our lonely master? Look at Yemen, Lebanon, and Palestine, witness this disaster. Look at those children, look at those children, look at those children without a reason being shot and slaughtered. Who will save them? Who will save them other than you, our lonely master? يرون بأنك مطلع ليلة الجمعة وترى آمال مواليكم فتهل الدمعة مولاي اذبحني مولاي اذبحني إن كنت شريكا في اللوعة أو خذ بيدي أو خذ بيدي ينقذني من لجات السبعة. It is us that are drowning in this life with this play and laughter. It is us that are drowning in this life with this play and laughter, not giving much attention to the life of the hereafter, not giving much attention to the life of the hereafter. What will we do if you return and we're not ready? What will we do if you return and we're not ready? What a tragic scene if the son of Fatima has to reject me. Mawlai, forgive me. Mawlai, forgive me. Mawlai, forgive me if I live my life disobeying. Come take my hand. Come take my hand and pull me out of all this darkness. It is said that you observe our acts on the eve of Friday. It is said that you observe our acts on the eve of Friday. But when you see the sins of your followers, you begin this crying. Mawlai, come save me. Mawlai, come save me. Mawlai, come save me if I've been constantly sinning. Come take my hand. Come take my hand and pull me out of all this darkness. Sallallahu Muhammad wa alayhi Muhammad. زيارة وارث. صلى محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلمسك من مدهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الردي الزكي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي. وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله. بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله. لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض فلعن الله أمة نسرجت وألجمت وتهيأت لقتاله. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، قصدت حرمك وأتيت إلى مشهدك، أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لديه أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد، وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة جميعا. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى أبي الفضل العباس وعلى الحوراء زينب وعلى محمد وآل الطاهرين ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.